guys, it's Dana and it's time to talk about money. And in this video, I wanted to talk about January and why it is the hardest month to get out of debt and how you can overcome it. First of all, Happy New Year. It is a fresh start and I, of course, am starting it a little bit under the weather, but let's talk about January and how it is a fresh start, but sometimes it can feel like it is the most stressful month of the entire year. And so I want to start off by saying try to use January not as a punishment. Try not to punish yourself for overspending perhaps for the holidays, but look at it instead of this, new beginning and a way to start again and to learn from your mistakes. So why does January feel like the hardest month to get out of debt? So the first reason is because usually in January is when payments start becoming due for the things that you bought on debt previously. For us, we put a pause on our YMCA membership for 2 months. So for November and December, we put a pause on that membership, and then the membership is now, the money is due again in January. The membership has started back up again. So it's just one example. But a lot of times January, things start up again, maybe kids' activities, things that you sort of put a hold on for the holiday season. Now you need to start, you owe money. You have to start paying, and it's due, and it's time, and it's stressful. So let's start by focusing on stabilizing our income and not pushing super hard on debt payoff. We want to get debt paid off. We have to try to first focus on minimizing our spending now. Holidays are over, and stabilizing the income we have coming in and cash flow. Now, motivation wears off pretty quick in January. The month usually starts out hard with everybody being, making New Year's resolutions and you feel motivated. But unfortunately, that does fizzle rather quickly. And then before you know it, you don't have any motivation. People around you aren't motivated anymore, and it makes it very difficult to keep your foot on the path. So the way to beat that is to shrink your goal. You're going to try to find some kind of goal to have, but make it smaller than like some vast, large payoff amount, and just pay one thing off or just make one tiny payment. You need to shrink your goal so you can reach it, so you can be motivated and stick with it. Other mini goals could be saving $500, or it could be tracking your spending for 30 days. Also, a lot of people like to do a no-spend January. January's already begun. If you have already, fell off the wagon for that, you can restart again. You can still do a no-spend January, or a no-spend 15 days, or a no-spend 30 days. Take it into February, and you can begin that mini goal of just not spending any money on, consumer goods. Of course, you have to continue to pay your rent, your mortgage, your electric bill, all those necessities, all those things still need to be paid, all minimum payments on everything, but you can try to minimize other spending on eating out, etc. And if you can't do that, like I said, just track your spending. See what you are spending your money on for 30 days. Okay, winter expenses are higher. Heating bills come in. Winter clothing can be expensive if you need new winter coats, boots, all those things. Especially if you have children, you have to buy those items for them. That can be a higher cost. Kids often need a new coat every single winter because they keep growing and their size has to go up. There are fewer activities to do in the winter months, which add pressure. So we are into tennis. You can't really play tennis outside where we live in Pennsylvania. It's extremely cold. The balls don't bounce. So they need an indoor facility if they're going to continue to play. So that's what I mean by free activities start to minimize. If you usually play basketball outside, or you like to take hikes or walks, it's harder to do that in the winter months. So how you beat that is you have to expect these higher costs every year and try to save for them in advance if you can. Possibly you're going to have to pay for these extra activities in January because your kids can't do their sports outside. You're going to need indoor facilities. You're going to have to pay for them. Maybe you need a Y membership during that month. So try to have the money saved or set aside in advance. So if you haven't done that for this year, try to do it for next year, which means tracking what you're spending this month so that you will be prepared and you'll be able to save for it for future years. Okay, so the culture of New Year's is this big, it's time to overhaul our health, our finances, our personal relationships. Let's make our marriage better. It's just this huge pressure to make everything better in our lives. And that is difficult. It sort of sets us up for failure in some ways. So how do we beat that? The best thing to do to avoid that burnout or quitting is to pick one specific goal. Are you going to work on your savings? Are you your one specific money goal, I should say, for the purposes of my channel here? Are you going to work on your savings? Are you going to work on paying down debt? Are you going to work on your sinking funds? Are you going to work on tracking your spending so you know where your money is going? Just pick one specific thing that you are going to work on. That way you have a higher chance of success and you don't feel that immense pressure and disappointment of, oh man, I failed again. Okay, regret is super heavy in January. Regret of things that you bought that maybe you shouldn't have or you didn't have the money for. And in order to beat that, we're going to try to focus on the data in January, okay? Not the things that you think you shouldn't have done. So treat January like a data month. So no judgment, just information, and then you're going to adjust. You're going to learn from it. We definitely don't want to be triggering shame or any kind of feelings like that, because that often leads to avoidance where you just don't want to even look at it, think about it, do anything about it. So we don't want any shame. We just want to deal with the information, and we're going to move forward. We're going to pivot and adjust and make things better in this next year. A lot of times during the holidays, people have options to work overtime, which means extra pay. Maybe you get bonuses. So when January comes, that's often over. There's no more overtime and there's no more bonuses. And so our income feels smaller. Maybe you have an Etsy shop like I do, and Q4 is a, banger time for Etsy shops. And so you have extra money coming in with your side hustle. And then now that has ended. And now you move into the months where they're a little bit more lean. And so it's just the income feels smaller. So the way we beat that is to try to rebuild a margin in our budget, again, which means that we're trying to work on minimizing our spending and trying to create some kind of buffer, because if we have a buffer, it changes everything as far as all the money going out compared to what's coming in. Many January budgets are too strict, just way too strict, too tight, unrealistic, which of course, again, leads to failure. So I suggest building a flexible January budget. So just be a little bit easy on yourself. Know that you might overspend in certain areas that you had planned not to, and just be willing to be flexible here. Like, don't, again, the name of the game here is to not beat ourselves up and try to avoid shame and a punishment mentality. And then, of course, comparison is everywhere. Maybe try to avoid social media during this time. If you go on Facebook and you see people posting, wonderful stories about the fabulous trips they just took or whatnot. I mean, again, like, it always seems as if everyone else has more money than you do. They have, a more beautiful family than you do. They have, a better body. They're more in shape. They've got better clothes, better purses, better hair, better dogs, whatever it is. All right. When we look on Facebook, it does feel as if everyone else has everything and we have nothing. So try to avoid social media during this time and try not to compare, because we are all on our own journey, and absolutely every single person walking the planet has some kind of struggle in their lives. Just whether or not they choose to share it or not is the thing. Okay, so the truth is, January is not about aggressive debt payoff. We are trying to reset. We're trying to restabilize and, get that foundation down so that we can move forward. And again, trying to work on mental health as far as not beating ourselves up. So we want to stabilize our budgets, and we're going to rebuild confidence. We're going to get back on track. This is going to be a good year, and you're going to get debt paid off. You're going to build your savings, and things are going to go your way. It just might take a little time. You're on your own journey, different from everyone else's. So let's try not to compare, and we're going to get there as long as we are willing to, put the work in and to think about it, not avoid it. We want to face it, so that way we're able to take care of business. So if January feels super heavy, it's totally normal. I am feeling it actually. I feel, on top of being not feeling great, health wise, it just feels heavy. Holidays are over. It's kind of a downer and it's cold and dark. And, I like to be out in my garden and there's not much I can do out there right now without, freezing my hand off. So it's just tough. It's a tough time of year and we want to make it through it, and we will, and it's going to get better. And so we got to try to stay on track. We got to try to stay focused on our goals, especially our money goals here. Slow progress beats quitting. So don't quit. Just make some slow progress, whatever that may be. Okay. So if you feel that you'd like to share what you're going to be doing, what your goal is for January, I'd love to hear it down below in the comments. And I will talk to you guys in the next video. One of my goals is to try to continue to post a video once a week. And let's again, it's okay. I don't always make it, but I'm trying my best. So let's all try to focus on not quitting and continuing to make that slow progress. Okay. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later. Happy New Year. Bye.